What's up, YouTube fans? Today we're going to take a look at the Takara Tomy masterpiece Hound. Finally we got this. We've been waiting a long time for a new character. This year Takara put out Masterpiece Optimus and Masterpiece Bumblebee, and finally we got a new figure here. So very excited for this. Here's the box, nice images, and you got some product shots with all the accessories. Comes with a ton of accessories. We'll take a look at all of that. That's really it for the box. Here's the instructions, and the instructions aren't great. Honestly, they're black and white and really hard to see. So you're better off watching a review like my buddy Pig for Life or T-Man978. I'll link their videos at the end of this one, and you can take a look at those. And you also get a collector's card. Very nice collector's cards. I like this image, although I prefer the original like masterpiece style card. Here's the back. Those are his tech specs. It's got some low numbers here. That's really it. You also get an addendum to the instructions, so obviously there's something a little whack in the instructions. I was trying to figure out exactly what they're saying, but it looks like they're trying to tell you, warn you of stuff here. Probably because they had breakages. But anyway, there's the instructions. And here we have the vehicle out of his packaging. He does come in vehicle mode, but he does not come with these things attached. Well, let me just tell you, this tire, the gas can right there, and this gun are mounted on there. And they're obviously meant for vehicle mode, but they do also transform into him. Now, I am going to show the transformation, but I'm not going to transform with this gun. It's too irritating. It just keeps falling off. So, but I will show it with these two, so I can show you exactly how to transform this with those on. But let's take a quick 360 of this figure in vehicle mode. It does look really good. You do have tail lights here. Now they're this kind of copperish color. They've got that metallic fleck to them. And the wheel on the back and also the sides, it is broken up a little bit by these panel lines. Those are where it transforms. So if that bothers you, you know, that might be an issue. But for me, it doesn't really bother me. This one especially, it doesn't really bother me. This one looks really kind of weird. And there's no way to compress it anymore. That's compressed all the way. From this side, you can see... Actually, let's take a look at his dashboard here. Got a lot of detail in there. You can see all sorts of gauges and stuff. It looks really good. So I think they did a great job with the interior of this thing. And then on this front, you've got the rear view mirrors. You do get an extra set of these in case, I guess, in case you break them. So I don't think they're any different. But they do fold. They don't seem very fragile. The Willis ones definitely seem more fragile. We're going to take a look at the Fans Toys Willis in a little bit. And then you can open up the hood, and here's what it looks like on the inside. It actually looks really good. They put a little bit of detail on this back panel here, if you can see that. This panel. And then this kind of looks like an engine. I mean, it's really good. So they did a good job with that. It's really the top of the arms, but it looks good. And then he's got his Autobot logos, which look good. He's got sort of a bluish tinted window, which is consistent with the Accurate Plus versions they've been doing for the cartoon. He's got little seats, and you can put Daniel in, or Spike in there. And he comes with a new spike. So let's take a look at this spike. Here's the new spike. I'll try to get in on some of the details here. He's got pretty nice detail. I mean, he's bigger than the previous spike. We'll take a look at the MP-10 spike. I don't have the Takara Tomy MP-44 spike because I didn't like that figure, got rid of it. But the great thing about this is it doesn't fall apart. He stays together, which is awesome. You can really pose him up. He does a lot of different moves. So he's got ball joints at the shoulders. He's got a ab crunch. He's got a single pin, but it goes all the way up to there. He doesn't have a rotation, but he does have a little bit of rotation from this ab crunch. Got a ball jointed thigh, and then a pin for the knee. And then the head does rotate. So a lot of articulation for a little guy like this. I'm pretty impressed that they I don't know if they improved the quality or just because it's bigger, it doesn't fall apart, but I love it. It does obviously go into the vehicle mode, and you can have him driving. There you go. It's not quite posed well, but you can get it. You just mess with it a little bit more, and it's not irritating like the spike that we got with the MP-44. He actually is kind of fun. He looks good and he's fun to pose. You also get this holographic figure, and you can put him in the passenger seat. You can also put him in the driver's seat, but I like to put him in the passenger seat so Spike can drive in the HOV lane because he's got 2 people. You also get a soft top cover for the Jeep, and this is one of those accessories that I saw in the promo pictures and thought, this is dumb. But as soon as I received it and actually put it on and looked at it, it's pretty cool. So you do have to either fold up this gun or take it off. I like to take it off because it just gets in the way and it's kind of a pain. But the good news is it does mount in here. So see that tab, how it's keyed? You just want to line it up with this key here, and that'll sit there just fine. That. And then you can attach this to the Jeep. Now you have to get this ridge over the top of the windshield, and then the rest kind of just fits in. So that's what you should concentrate on, is getting that ridge in. Once you get that ridge in, the rest kind of just works itself out. There you have it, and they're inside there driving, and it looks really cool. So in person, in hand, this soft top cover actually looks really good. It's got a nice blue translucent windows. It even looks like there's a, the panel lining makes it look like this door opens. It doesn't, but it looks like it does, which is really nice the way they did that. So all around, very, very nice figure. I do like the soft top. I talked about this is an unnecessary accessory, but I feel like it looks really, really good in vehicle mode. One last thing on the accessories, you can store almost everything in here. Some of this is for robot mode. You've got the key, 2 faces, the rocket launcher or cannon here. I guess that's a machine gun. But why would you put it here? You'd want to put it on the vehicle, so I wouldn't really do that. And then the wheel, which again, I'd leave that on here, and also the gas can. So this is really more for robot mode, for storage of all these things, so that you don't have to have it loose and around. But so now let's take a look at a couple vehicle mode comparisons. The comparison here is Streak, and I feel this is a really good scale. So the wheels are a little bit bigger, which is kind of what I would expect. And just because this is kind of important, let's bring in Willis. So here is Willis, and you can kind of see how big he is compared to this guy. He's massive, and it doesn't really fit with the scale of MP. Here he is with the MP-10 Optimus Prime, and scale looks pretty good there. I do think this looks better than the Fans Toys Hound in terms of scale. It's a lot closer to what I would expect for a Jeep. And there he is with the Masterpiece Ravage from Takara Tomy. You can see the Spike is looking a little bit better in terms of size with this. The original Spike was a little too small. Here's the original. Just too small to go with this Ravage. So I'm starting to like this Spike more and more in terms of the size and the scale. One final feature before we transform, you can angle this steering wheel up and down, and you can fold this down so you can have that, glass down look, open doors, completely open type of vehicle. Alright, so now let's get this guy transformed into his robot mode. You can actually leave all of these accessories on, the spare tire, the jerry can, they call it, the gas can, and this laser scope. But the laser scope is a little bit irritating because mine is very loose. Not very loose, it's a little loose, and it tends to fall off during transformation. So you can fold it up and get it in the foot, but I'm going to take it off. But we'll leave these 2 on. I'll show you how to get these transformed into the vehicle, or into the robot mode, so you can hide them away. And just know that this can also be transformed, but because it keeps falling off, I'm going to leave it off to the side. Okay, so let's get started. First thing you want to do is unlock the seats. So you're going to lift up on the bottom of these seats, and that will sort of release this whole panel. And you can fold those out to the side. Flip this upside down, and then hold this while you're doing this. You can fold that downwards, and just leave that there for now. Same on this side. Pop the seat. Flip it over, fold it down, and leave that at 90 degrees. And those can just sit there for now. Release this if it hasn't already been released. Sometimes it just pops up on its own, but you can see it's tabbed in right there. So release those, and that will allow you to fold this entire front piece upwards. And if it gets a little stuck, you can tell maybe the missile is caught up here. The whole thing should be able to fold upwards, so you can work on it from there. Okay. So next, we're going to work on the upper body first, and then we'll work on the legs a little bit later. So to start off, you want to get the arms out from inside. Actually, we can give ourselves a little bit of room by getting this out of the way, so let's do that. You're going to lift up on this panel right here. Push the steering wheel down, lift up on this panel. That'll free it from inside of here. You can pull the head out. And that entire panel can flip upwards and stay upwards like that. And why don't we just continue on? We can unfold this a little bit more and get that all the way out of the way. So just leave it like that for now. We're going to take care of that a little bit later, but that gives you room to work in here. Okay, so we're going to get the arms out. So first thing you need to do is release these side panels here. And it is a little tricky. I found that you had to kind of work this out from the side of the vehicle. And it doesn't feel great, but it does pop out. So you want to fold it upwards and out of the way, so you can kind of just sit flush there. Same on this side. Get this panel out of there. It does help if you push this down a little bit. It kind of gives you some room to work it out. There you go. Now you can get the arms out. So just pull the arms out from inside here. They should just fold outwards like that. And you do have to get these folded up on this ridge, so you're going to rotate this until you feel that click on the other side. I'll try to show you. There's a little tab. Come on. There's a little tab right here on the inside of the arm. And that's what you have to get over the ridge. And once you'll feel it kind of lock in. Same on this side. Get the arm oriented and then rotate this until it locks on that ridge. And then you have arms kind of squared away. We can take care of this a little bit later, but just rotate so you have the elbow joints to the front. So now we're going to work on this inside part here. So push these panels up, these footwell panel. Then you get these wheels rotated inwards into this inside here. So they just sit like that. Then you can get these panels rotated. Now they do have a little peg that is going to fit together, so you want to make sure you rotate them kind of at the same time. If you're having a little trouble, that means that this panel is sticking out, so rotate that back. You can get them together like that, nice and flush. And then you're going to accordion this down on this hinge forward. So you want to get this down flat like that. So it sits like that. Okay. And now we want to peg those into the sides of these wheels. A little peg hole there, and there's a peg right there inside. So get that on there. And you do have to bend the plastic a little bit. I don't really like that, but it doesn't feel like it's going to break, so it's okay. So just get those nice and pegged in there. Now we're going to take care of this midsection. So fold the steering wheel down, and then fold these inside of his chest. See on this side, those sit nice and flush in there. Last thing we're going to do is rotate this. Fold this panel upwards so it sits flat. Like that. And then fold the windshield in so it clicks into these two tabs. And your back is pretty much done. Close this hood. Fold this head down. Bring this panel all the way around. And get it pegged in there. Open up this. Get that pegged in. Flip up the little tail fin here. And then flip out the back little rocket launcher piece. All right, and that's the top part's pretty much done. Let's get his legs working. So the legs are definitely a little bit more challenging. So fold out this panel right here. And that'll allow you to separate the legs. Now we can work on the legs. So you want to unfold this in this sequence. Otherwise you might hurt some of the plastic. So fold it outwards like this. And then backwards. And the reason you want to do that is this little gray piece is sitting in here. If you pull it straight back, it can collide with that. So same on this side. Backwards and out. Now you have exposed the feet, and you can work on the feet. So open up this panel here. Fold the headrest inwards. Fold the seats flat. And then fold out these panels. Make sure you've cleared this. So this should be out a little bit. Same on this side. Fold these outwards. And once you have it opened up like that, we can now work on the foot. Fold the foot panel forward like this so it sits flush, and then fold this top piece back down. You're going to take this panel and make sure you have that inside joint rotated all the way up so you get that ridged piece on top. So if you have it like that, you know that you've got it right. You're going to pull this wheel apart if you still have it on there. If you don't have it on there, you don't have to worry about this part. But if you do still have it there, you do have to get this apart. And it is pretty tight. You're going to fold it in on itself so it makes a semicircle, and then fold that into the foot. And it's really cool engineering that it fits in there. Right, now that you've done that, you can close this panel around it, around that wheel you just made. And again, make sure you've got this piece sitting flush and flat. Otherwise, you won't be able to get this all closed up. Okay. Now, rotate this down, and it's going to peg in right there. And there's one foot done. And we got to work on this. So get this panel out here. And be gentle with these. These do feel a little bit fragile. They're not going to break on me. I've transformed this several times, but it does feel a little bit fragile to me. Fold this in, fold the wheel in, then fold the other side of the wheel down. So you get that nice flush square piece. Fold this panel down first, then open up this panel and fold that downwards. And you're going to basically catch it onto here and then peg it into the back. So you get that nice solid leg there. And then accordion this down so that it sits flat. You got that nice looking foot there. Okay. Rotate at the calf and then rotate at the foot. And that's one leg all done. So same thing on this side. Open this up. Make sure you get that panel rotated. For this one, you rotate the jerry can inwards like that, so that it's flat against the back of the truck. Rotate this up. Rotate it into the leg or the foot. Fold this panel flat. I'm going to go a little faster since we already did this. Rotate this bottom of the foot down. Rotate this little peg down and peg that in. And that locks the whole foot together. And then collapse it down. Open up this panel. Pop the wheel apart. Rotate that in. Rotate this in. Rotate that in. Close this panel. Open this panel right here. Close this panel down and make sure you get it hooked on this other panel, and then squeeze it in here. Rotate at the calf. Rotate at the foot. And one last thing, you gotta rotate this little peg for the truck inwards. And there you have the legs all done. Now you want to get the hands out, and there is a little tab right here for your fingernail, so you can pull that out. That's very thoughtful of them to include that. I like that they thought of stuff like that. Make sure you have the elbow in the front. You should have this panel out to the side. That's where the arm is configured. Same on this side. Pull that hand out. There he is, all transformed into robot mode. And he's a good looking bot. Let's take a quick 360. Very, very compact. Not a lot of extra stuff hanging off. You got a little bit right here for the steering wheel, but that's really it. There's nothing kind of, you know, breaking up the sculpt. Very good looking. And he's also extremely well articulated, which I think Takara has been really shooting for, you know, those really high-end articulation, you know, the best of the best kind of thing. So let's go articulation, because that's what this guy is after. Oh, by the way, I forgot to show this on the transformation. If you want to get the head a little bit more articulated, you do have to pull it outwards on this joint here. You can push it back in. Here, let's open this up so I can show you. And you pull it out too far, it looks like it's got a giraffe neck. It's kind of, so you want to push it in a little bit, and that'll give you all of that articulation you need. You can get around. If you find yourself running into that panel, just pull it forward a little bit more. You don't have to pull it all the way more. That'll give you some extra articulation. Make sure you put this back in so it locks in that head. But his head is on a, what appears to be a rotating swivel. It's very hard to see in there. There's a ball joint in there, but there's also an extra piece that kind of gets him outwards, so you can get a lot of articulation on that. This gun is also articulated, so it goes all the way to there. It rotates around. You can't untab it, but then that leaves the head loose. You do end up with a little bit of floating head syndrome, so you kind of have to make sure this stays down. And it does stay down, you just have to pose it intentionally. So plenty of articulation on that upper part. You do have a butterfly joint here that comes all the way out to there, although it breaks up the sculpt, so you may not want to do that. And I do find that this hood is constantly popping up. You have a rotation at the bicep and a joint there that gets you all the way up to there, so very nice. Should probably pass there. A rotation at the bicep, pretty tight. Double jointed elbow all the way up to there. Rotation at the wrist. And the pointer finger is separately articulated, although you can't get it straight, so you end up with the typewriter finger if you're trying to point. And the thumb is also on a separate ball joint. This hand is very similar to what we've been getting with the Takara figures lately, so not anything new there, just it is articulated pretty well. You have a rotation at the waist, it goes all the way around. You have a really nice ab crunch, goes all the way up to there. Yeah, make sure you don't pull into here. What I just did. Don't pull here. You want to pull here. Okay. You do have hip skirts on the side. I'm just going to lift those up. You have rotation up to there. I don't want to go any further because it tends to scratch the paint, and I've already scratched the paint a little bit. And I'll show that to you. It's going to be hard to see on camera, but I'll show it to you my best as I can. Yeah, there you can see it. So right there, you got some scratching already. So I'm not going to go past, but he does actually articulate past 90 degrees backwards, forward. Backwards, you got nothing. It hits this pretty much immediately. You do get out to there. Make sure you lift this, otherwise you scratch up all this paint. He is a paint scratching phenom. He loves scratching his paint. So plenty of articulation on those hips. Everything you'd want. Rotation at the thigh. Double jointed knee gets all over there. There's even an indentation for this little joint piece here to go into the leg. That's just very thoughtful, very creative. The design on this is just outstanding. So you can get some really nice poses with this guy. I don't want to push it because I don't want to scratch that paint. Ankle tilt, crazy ankle tilt all the way to there. Ankle pivot. If you want to do even more, you could pull it out down on that and you could get even more, but you don't need any more. It does everything you want it to do. And that's pretty much it for articulation. So all of the articulation, there's nothing left unturned for this guy. He literally has every possible articulation you could want. There he is holding a soft top as a shield. This doesn't work too well. It's kind of heavy for the arm, and it doesn't really stay in the hand very well. You need a spudger to kind of get in there and get the hand closed. So not a great execution, but I'm not going to ever do that anyways. This is just storage for weapons for me, or for whatever, anything, the faces. So it's not really a great accessory in the robot mode. I also find it to be a little bit irritating. I'd rather do the other option, which is to attach this to the back. So you can see there's a little spot there, and you can put this tab into there. I don't know if anyone has covered this in other reviews, but you can basically attach this to the back right there. It slides on and it fits like a backpack on there. Now you can't articulate the cannon once you have it on there, but to me that's at least better than trying to put it in his hand because the hand doesn't hold it. There he is with his gun, and it looks really good. By the way, I did leave out one joint. He's got this hand joint here. You can get it all the way out to there. But good looking gun, good size, and he holds it very, very securely. Now you can attach this effect for the hologram effect. So if you had him, I don't know, creating his own hologram, which is kind of strange if you don't have it in robot mode, in vehicle mode, but you could have him creating this. I don't know. It doesn't make a lot of sense. But that's a cool little accessory that they included. You also get the alternate faces, so we'll take a look at these one by one. They peg in by lifting up this and pushing up on the face, and there's a peg hole right there. So let's get each of these in there. So here's with the slight smiling face. That one's pretty good. They all have the blue eyes, and they're not metallic, but they've got that blue that you had on the MP-10s. It looks good. There he is with the yelling face, and that's also very well done. Now I'm going to show you the mask as well since we're here. You do need a spudger to get in there. It's pretty tight, so I would recommend, instead of trying to get it out with your finger, you grab a spudger. And there he is with the mask that he used in the one episode when he was underwater with Spike, and Spike kind of saved him and brought him up. That was his scuba mask or whatever. And here he's with his standard straight face. This is my least favorite, but it's probably pretty accurate to the cartoon, I'd imagine. It looks very close to the cartoon, and it looks good. So there's all the faces. All right, let's take a look at a few comparisons here. Here he is with the Fans Toys Willis, their version of Hound, and they are slightly different sizes. As far as in terms of height, they're about the same, but in terms of just bulkiness, and even the size of the head, much different. I will be doing a separate in detail comparison with these two. I just wanted to show you that. There he is with the transform element Optimus Prime, or Op Leader they call him, and these look really good together in terms of size. So final thoughts wise, I think this is a really solid release from Takara Tomy. They nailed it with the accessories and nailed it with the robot mode and the car mode. They've got a spike that fits. It really hits on all cylinders, and it's a really well done figure. I'm happy that I got it. My biggest complaint is probably the paint. The paint scuffs and scratches in different spots, especially on the legs and on the thighs. That's where it scratches the most. But I really don't have any other complaints. Even this neck thing, which some people have complained about, the floating neck, it doesn't bother me at all. It's honestly, you don't see it. And there's a little bit of robot kibble back here, you know, where the neck comes together. But the illusion of the neck is fine for me. It doesn't make me think that, oh yeah, there's a bunch of kibble holding his neck in place, which it is. So even that is not an issue for me. And some of the other issues that people have been reporting is, you know, stuff that breaks. I haven't had anything break. I've transformed this several times back and forth and posed it. No real breakages at all. So I think people just are either not following instructions, or they're following the wrong sequence of transformation steps. And if you do it by instructions, now my buddy Peak for Life has a really good transformation. I'll put that in the link. Also, T-Man978, you'll see a link at the end of this video to both of their videos on this Hound. But if you follow the instructions in the videos, I think you won't have an issue transforming this guy. There are some delicate parts, and I tried to cover them in my review, but overall, really well done. So that's really it for today. All right, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.